Good evening. The time is now 7 p.m. I'd like to call the December 15th, 2020 regular meeting of the Millcreek Township Board of Supervisors to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The Board of Supervisors meetings are now being televised live online via Go Live via YouTube.com and recorded by WQLN for viewing on Spectrum Channel 1024 and YouTube.com with closed captioning available. Members of the public may attend in person in the General Assembly Room. However, total occupancy is limited to 25 persons and masks are required. Persons who wish to offer testimony at any hearing or to offer comments during the public comment portion of the meeting, but who do not wish to attend in person, may contact the Township Secretary, Cheryl Williams, at 814-833-1111 or at swilliams@millcreektownship.com no later than 24 hours before the scheduled meeting to make arrangements to participate via telephone. Next up, we'll take any public comment on agenda items other than development or rezoning applications. Okay, sir?
Just a clarification.
Okay.
When you vote on these zoning reclassifications, is the public allowed to address at that time?
Yes.
Not until the end of the meeting?
No, you can address at that particular time
Thank you.
concerning that particular zoning issue. Okay, anyone else? Any public comment on agenda items other than development or rezoning? Okay, moving on. Approval of the minutes from our last meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Mr. Olet?
I vote yes.
Mr. Morgan?
I vote yes.
And I vote yes. Approval of the bills. We have some bills to pay.
I'll make a motion to approve the bills.
I'll second.
Mr. Olet?
I vote yes.
Mr. Morgan?
I vote yes.
And I vote yes. Next up, Resolution 2020 R69, tax levy.
Actually, you jumped ahead.
Oh, I did? Oh, I did. I missed a big one. Adoption of the 2021 budget. Let's do that first.
Well, let's do that first.
I knew it was Mark. I knew you were up.
Okay, the preliminary budget was presented on November 24th, I think. And it was advertised, it was on display at the police department, it's on our website. And the final budget is largely unchanged from that preliminary budget. The preliminary budget showed an operating deficit in the general fund of $375,534. The final budget shows an operating deficit of $404,077. And those changes were the insurance program came in slightly higher than originally budgeted. I had originally anticipated a 10% increase. The actual increase came in at 12.1%, and that is due to a variety of factors, some of which are controllable and some of which are not. So we'll have to do a better job of controlling our loss experience. Also, too, there were some changes for website support for the township and for the parks program, civic rec program. Apparently, we must have prepaid those for 2020 and 2019. They were missing from the original preliminary budget. And the other change, although it doesn't affect the general fund, was for the sewer revenue fund. We got the final estimated numbers for the cost of treatment and transportation from the city, and they were higher than originally budgeted, so those changes have been reflected. But otherwise, the budget remains largely unchanged So that was predicated on a total tax rate of 3.5377, which a portion of that is the general property tax, and there's a 0.156 mils levy that goes to public improvements.
Okay, Mark?
So that's basically all I have to say about the budget. I don't know if there are any specific questions beyond that.
I don't have any
I don't have any.
questions.
No.
Mr. Allen or Mr. Morgan?
No, no questions.
It would be my recommendation that you approve the budget as presented.
Thank you, sir. Okay, do I hear a motion on the adoption of the 2021 budget?
I'll make a motion to approve the budget.
And I will second.
Mr. Olet?
I vote yes.
Mr. Morgan?
I vote yes.
And I vote yes. Next up is Resolution 2020 R69.
This resolution is, fixes the tax rate as proposed in the budget with the 3.3977 mils of general fund property taxes and the 0.156 mils public improvements tax rate. This is the same rate as rates that were in existence last year, and I think they've been the same rates for about 7 or 8 years. So it would be my recommendation to adopt the resolution as presented.
Okay, any questions or comments on this tax rate resolution?
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2020 R69 for the tax levy to maintain tax levy at its 2020 levels.
And I'll second.
Mr. Olet?
I vote yes.
Mr. Morgan?
I vote yes.
And I vote yes. Okay, next up, bids and quotes. We have bids from Chief Height, Millcreek Police Department for non-lethal OC spray. This is spray that the officers carry. It's issued per capita. Every officer carries it. And this is a replacement for the entire lot of OC spray due to the fact it's nearing its expiration date. There were 3 bids received. And we'll go through here. One bid was from Markle Supply, $669.75. There was a bid from, I believe, trying to find it here, Whitmer Public Safety Group, $674.25, and Uniform Outfitters, $941.25. So three quotes were solicited, and approval is requested for the purchase of 75.75 ounce containers of aerosol MK6 level 2 OC spray from Markle Supply. That was the lowest quote. OC spray will replace the officer issue in current inventory due to product expiration. All officers are issued the spray as a non-lethal force control option.
I'll make a motion to approve the purchase from Markle Supply for the amount of $669.75.
Thank you, John.
I'll second.
Mr. Olet?
I vote yes.
Mr. Morgan?
I vote yes.
And I vote yes. Okay, next up we have a tree removal quote, I believe, for 5,002 Cherry Street Extension. Matt, you're going to handle that?
Yes, thank you. Good evening. There is a tree on the property at 5002 Cherry Street Extension. That address has a vacant and abandoned home on it that has been maintained by Millcreek Township Code Enforcement Office for multiple years. They had a failure of a tree there. It was an ash tree that uprooted and is now currently leaning on a fence towards the adjacent home to the south. We sought quotes to get the tree removed so that it would not damage the neighboring property. We sought out 4 quotes, and we got no response from 3 of the people we contacted. Larson's Tree and Stump Removal, Dibble Tree Service, and Leopold's Tree Trimming and Removal did not respond to the request. We got 1 response, was J. Thomas Tree Service. They quoted a price of $395 to remove the tree. So at this time, I would recommend that we award the contract to J. Thomas Tree Service in the amount of $395 to remove the tree before it damages neighboring properties.
Okay. Matt, do you know, is this a complete removal?
I believe so. The
Or-
way the tree, it's kind of uprooted. It's just kind of sitting there on the ground. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Matt, is this a property that'd be a candidate for the land bank, or it says
It
multiple
is-
years, so I'm just curious.
Yes, it is something that we are working with the land bank to acquire.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to approve tree removal from J. Thomas in the amount of $395?
So moved.
And I will second.
Mr. Olet?
I vote yes.
Mr. Morgan?
I vote yes.
And I vote yes. Next up, we have a public hearing on a small subdivision plan. Barbara Ellen Cullen, small subdivision plan, a small subdivision plan to show the creation of a 20-foot by 150-foot parcel A from tax parcel 33162-628.1-2 that has become an integral part tax parcel 33162-628.1-3, resulting in a .61 acre parcel of land and a residual parcel of .62 acre, located south of Young Road along the west line of Pilgrim Drive and tract 343. Matt?
Thank you. At their regular meeting of Tuesday, December 1st, 2020, the Millcreek Township Planning Commission recommended approval of this subdivision with the requirement that parcel A become an integral part of Erie County Tax Parcel 33-162-628.1-3.
Okay. Thank you. Is there anybody here to speak on this matter? Thank you, sir. If you could state your name and address for the record.
Yeah, my name is Rob Sapinski. I'm at 5826 Pilgrim Drive. I'm the neighbor to Barb Cullen. She was unable to attend tonight, but this is simple. I want to extend the house for a first floor bedroom and need to pick up 20 feet of lot, so she's selling me the 20 feet.
Okay, sir. Any questions for him?
I don't have
Okay.
any, no.
Anybody here, anyone else here to speak on this small subdivision plan? Okay. Do I hear a motion to approve this plan?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Mr. Olet?
I vote yes.
Mr. Morgan?
I vote yes.
And I vote yes. Okay, next up,
Can I just interrupt? Can I ask, what is the next step then? Will I be hearing from the township about conveyance of the deed?
If you contact the Township Planning Department tomorrow and ask for Matthew Puz, Puz, P-U-Z. Yep, he can guide you through. The supervisors will have to sign it, and then you'll have to take it to be recorded, but he can coordinate that with you.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
okay, next up, number 10 on our agenda. Public hearing on petitions requesting a change in zoning classification. First one is Rutkowski Family Limited Partnership for property located at 1226 Industrial Drive, now zoned resort commercial, asking for the parcel to be classified as I-1 light industrial, index 257-014, county index 33-189-4. Matt?
Thank you. At their regular meeting of Tuesday, November 10th, 2020, the Millcreek Township Planning Commission recommended approval of this rezoning. They did wish to make a suggestion to the board that they explore changing the future land use map as it reflects the corridor from between Sealinger Avenue and Peninsula Drive along 12th Street from corridor commercial to corridor mixed use. That was their recommendation.
Mr. Olding, is that recommendation just to reflect the potential rezoning of this parcel, or to look at the entire length of that stretch of 12th Street?
It specifically needs to be done for this parcel, but they felt that that was probably a more accurate reflection of that corridor than the commercial.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Is there anybody present to speak on this change in zoning? Thank you, sir.
Charlie Rakowski, 2609 West 12th Street, Erie, PA. Part of Rakowski Family Land Partnership. And we're just using that piece of property. We actually have other pieces of building around there that we're using for, that's industrial, part of industrial sales and manufacturing. We actually have four other buildings in the area. So we're just expanding our business and keeping it Millcreek.
Okay. Very good. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anybody else here wish to speak on this matter? No? Okay. Do I hear a motion on this request?
Just one question, Mr. Chairman.
You have a question, John?
Mr. Olding, were any concerns brought up by the Planning Commission on this rezoning?
No, there were no concerns. They felt it was a logical extension as there was industrial I-1 directly to the south.
And point of order for Mr. Shaw, I guess. Do we need to vote to amend the future land use plan with a vote to rezone, or would that be something that we do at the next step when we kind of formalize and update the code?
Sorry, I didn't catch what you said.
The recommendation to update the future land use map to reflect any zoning changes, is that a vote that needs to happen concurrently now, or is that something that we can amend the future land use plan when we get the actual codification change in a few weeks?
I think we can do that when we do the ordinance in a couple of weeks.
Okay. All right. I'll make the motion to approve rezoning the parcel to I-1 Light Industrial.
I'll second.
Okay. Mr. Olet?
I vote yes.
Mr. Morgan?
I vote yes.
And I vote yes. Next up, AHN JIB LLC for property located at 3531 Westlake Road, now zoned R1, single-family residential, asking for a 1.4 acre portion of the property to be classified as C2, general commercial. Indices 224-008 and 224-009. County number 33-17-79-1 and 33-17-79-8. Matt?
Thank you. At their regular meeting of Tuesday, November 10th, 2020, the Millcreek Township Planning Commission recommended approval of this rezone.
Okay. Anybody here to speak on behalf of this?
I think the applicant.
The applicant first? The applicant first? Okay, thank you.
Good evening, gentlemen. My name is Laura Gunchin, Vice President, Project Management Office with Erie Management Group. The company is actually Unjib, that's how it's pronounced.
Oh, okay.
It's confusing. We are the new owners of the former Alto Cucina restaurant. Currently, the property is zoned commercial in the frontmost portion and then residential non-conforming towards the end of the carriage house. Under the new comprehensive plan, it does have it rezoned as neighborhood mixed use, as that is not yet defined. The logical rezoning would be commercial.
Okay. What's the plan for the property?
A restaurant,
A restaurant?
correct. Opening in 2022.
Oh, okay, very good.
It needs quite a bit of renovation, as one could imagine, being vacant for almost 2 years.
Mr. Aldinger, so for clarification, the zoning map I have in front of me, it appears to be two parcels. Is this actually one parcel we're dealing with?
You're rezoning a portion of one parcel. It's not the entirety of it, it's the front portion, approximately 1.4 acres.
Now, you might come up here a second, I'll show you what I'm talking about.
Mr. Morgan, if I may, we have since merged those parcels by deed.
Thank you.
And it's been filed with the courthouse.
Would you still like me?
I mean, if you want the exercise, otherwise, I think she answered the question fine, but just to make sure. I was referring to this here. That's what I was referring to. That's what they merged. Yeah, okay. All right, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Gushin.
Okay. Anyone else want to speak on this issue?
I'm sorry, very hard of hearing, and I could hardly hear what she said or what you guys discussed up there.
We're mumblers. We'll try and speak louder. We're mumblers by nature, sorry. We'll try and speak louder.
But I just wanted to find out what.
Sir, could you give your name and address just for the record?
John Hoyt. I have property at 718 Clifton Drive, which is bordering their property.
Okay, sir.
And I didn't hear why she's requesting this change. I'm sorry, but I didn't understand why the request was made.
Okay.
Not to speak for the applicant, but she mentioned that she'll be, they want to rezone it to have the restaurant there, to rehab the restaurant.
There was a restaurant there, I
Correct.
understand that.
Yes.
So why, and that's like, I believe grandfathered into that property. So why would they need to rezone it?
This cleans it up, makes it a legal use. Right now, it's what's known as a non-conforming use. So this would make it a legal permitted by right use.
So their not intent is not to do anything other than have a restaurant, just to clean it up.
I can't speak for the applicant, that is what they just said.
That is a valid.
But down the line, once this is approved, there could be any one of these other situations, a body shop or anything else if the property is sold. Is that not right?
It would, anything that is permitted in the C2 district would be permitted there.
Okay. Is there any way that that property title could have the amendment to it that only a restaurant could appear on that property?
To my knowledge, no, there is no way to place a condition on a rezoning.
Well, I find that to be very, from what I understand, she's trying to change the zoning all the way back to an access off of Linden Drive.
Yes, correct.
Can you show me on a map where that is?
So the red is currently C2, the yellow is residential, and the dark line is where they want to change the C2. So all of this would then be C2.
Where's West? Okay, this is Westlake Road. Okay. What's the red?
It's currently commercial. The front portion is, they would just extend it down to cover the building.
Okay, so where's the access off here?
Right here.
And where's the restaurant currently located?
Right here, kind of, the other night.
I just have a concern on why that would need to be cleaned up.
Good question. Mr. Aldinger, it is an existing non-conforming use, so if a new owner were to try and reopen the business, we wouldn't have any problem issuing the proper permits for that, would we?
You mean as it sits now without doing a rezoning?
Yes.
It depends on how long that use has been dormant.
Okay.
It was a non-conforming use, but if you abandon it for a certain period of time, then you lose the ability to reopen.
What period was that 1 year, SBS?
1 year.
I couldn't hear that discussion, I'm sorry.
Generally, your question was why would they have to clean it up? A non-conforming use, so if something gets rezoned to create, and in this case, a business operating in a residential district, if that business ever ceases to operate for a certain length of time, and in this case be a 1 year, if it ceased to operate for 1 year, then that non-conforming use, that kind of grandfather status, expires. And so they're not allowed to re-up that without a rezoning or a zoning hearing board variance. So that,
Okay, so at that point, they could have it rezoned after the 1 year expired, if that ever happened to be I mean, the restaurant that's
Right.
there right now is not in use, and how long has that been not in use?
well, that's what we're trying, I guess, sir, if you wouldn't mind stepping away from the podium, we can have the applicant come back and answer some questions.
Okay.
Hi, Ms. Gunchin. I believe the gentleman has a valid, makes a valid point. Have you incurred any challenges getting proper permits or building inspections? I guess, what was the impetus for requesting the change in zoning rather than just utilizing the non-conforming use status?
Mr. Waldinger, you can correct me if I'm wrong. My understanding is that we will face challenges in terms of the non-conforming use, not only for the abandonment clause, but also for the level of renovation that the building requires. There are restrictions as to how much renovation can happen under a non-conforming use. So I understand the gentleman's question, and I understand his point. My argument would be that through the comprehensive plan, there was time for comment. The comprehensive plan also has it rezoned as neighborhood mixed use. And being that that has not been further defined, C2 is obviously a natural progression forward. You do notice that it does stop at the end of the carriage house. During the planning commission hearing, there was another neighborhood individual that came and expressed concern that the back end, which is more green space, would be rezoned as commercial, and that is not the intent.
Okay. Do we know how long the use has been discontinued, Mr. Olding, or Ms. Gunchin? I'm trying to, I can't recall when the last business there closed down. Do you have an idea?
November of 19,
November of 19.
correct. It went into bankruptcy in January of 20.
So we are looking at the possibility of non-conforming use not being, okay. All right.
So what part is,
So this parcel line no longer exists as joint parcels. So this is only one parcel.
okay,
No longer selling this portion here with restaurant actually sits this back portion here.
so it does go down kind of
Yeah, it's got a flag on it.
okay, like a flag lot, okay.
So that's why I'm asking that, because this is no longer there.
Right.
Merged into, so it's like one parcel.
But this front portion is
That's correct, commercial.
currently
So
commercial,
we could expand that down. with the other
okay,
parcels.
and keep the, okay, yeah. Okay, thanks.
Mr. Morgan, if I could, the specific language of the code says, if such nonconforming use of the lot ceases or is discontinued for any reason for a period of more than 12 months, it shall be presumed that the nonconforming use has been abandoned, and any subsequent use of such lot shall conform to the regulations established in this chapter for the zoning district in which the lot is located. So it creates a presumption that that's been abandoned. That might be a presumption that could be rebutted, but again, you'd have to go through that process, and I suspect the easier method would be to simply see if they can get the zoning changed rather than go through that argument and risk losing.
So the carriage house you're referring to, that's directly to the south of the main building?
Correct.
questions, comments?
I couldn't hear everything that was discussed there, so could someone recap that for me?
What was discussed is that the previous restaurant that operated there, their operations discontinued in November of 2019. So it's been
That's over the 1-year period.
right, so their grandfather status has expired. So in order for them to reopen a restaurant at that location, it would require either a rezoning of the property or some form of a variance being granted by the Zoning Hearing Appeals Board.
Or what? I didn't hear the or what.
A variance from the Zoning Hearing Board. So those are the only two options for them to reopen a restaurant at that location. The grandfather status has expired.
So a variance could be applied. Is that right? Did you say a variance by the zoning board could be applied?
Well, in any instance where it's a zoning related issue, typically, a rezoning is preferred, so you have consistency with your comprehensive plan. And if a zoning appeal is denied, or if a zoning request is denied, then an applicant can appeal an issue to the zoning hearing board for relief.
For a restaurant use, correct?
That is, yeah, I mean, that's an
And
option for,
that would only allow a restaurant to be there, is that right?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's up to you guys to decide what should be done, right?
That's true.
Okay.
That's why we're here.
Well, gentlemen, I worked with Mr. Waldinger on the update to the comprehensive plan. And we actually, we discussed this parcel specifically at that time. And one of the things we talked about was that it is an existing, well, when we were working on the plan back in what, Matt, 2018?
Yes.
It was an existing business. There's existing businesses all up and down Westlake Road. And working with the Planning Commission, we did determine that certain limited commercial uses and what we called the mixed-use district were appropriate in that area, and that parcel, when we looked at it, and other parcels along that corridor, if there were existing businesses there that were just in residential districts because of the hodgepodge nature of our zoning, that would make sense to have some consistency there. Now, to the gentleman's concern about it being a C2 use, we did acknowledge that certain commercial uses would not be appropriate in that location. So we suggested a new zoning district, as Ms. Gunchin mentioned, the neighborhood mixed-use district, which would limit that to restaurants, small corner stores, offices, that sort of thing. And as you're aware, we're currently updating the zoning ordinance. That I believe it's supposed to be completed this summer, hopefully, Matt, is the
By the
final
summer,
update.
yes. Yeah.
And as you gentlemen have seen those preliminary recommendations, it would include this area being more of a low-impact mixed-use district that wouldn't allow such things as auto body repair shops and those sorts of more noxious uses. So that is the background of the comp plan and what Ms. Gunchin is referring to when she says the land use map calls for this section of that parcel, that an appropriate reuse of that would be to zone it in this mixed-use zoning district. So that's, and in the meantime, what we've been doing, since we don't have that district in existence, the Planning Commission and Matt have basically been looking at granting the next closest thing we can in the current zoning ordinance to allow those uses. So in this case, it would be C2.
Okay.
Matt, I can't recall, are restaurants permitted in C1?
No, they are not. In our current C1, no, you cannot have a eating and drinking establishment.
Sir, you had another question?
I was trying to hear what you were discussing or saying up there, but couldn't hear for sure what you said. Did you say that you were considering some legal thing that they would not allow to have a body shop there?
What I'm saying is, you mentioned your concern that if the parcel was rezoned to commercial, it could be reused for some kind of like body shop or some kind of auto use. What I was saying is that our intention and what we've been currently working on as a township is a rezoning of the entire township to create new zoning districts that in this case would be a zoning district that would permit a restaurant in that area but not auto uses. So that's what I was saying, is we're currently working on revamping the zoning code itself.
So that's something in the future you're working on.
It's probably about 6 to 9 months down the road, yeah.
But if you pass this now, that would be something that you couldn't go back and change.
Oh, we absolutely can change it, yes.
Pardon me?
We absolutely can change it, yes.
Oh, you could change it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
If between now and the time the ordinance would change, they would, make a certain use of it that was allowed at the time, then that couldn't, we couldn't prevent that from happening. But if they hadn't begun a use by that point in time, they'd have to comply with the new zoning code with respect to their use of the property.
Can you repeat that?
So, assuming the supervisors would grant this, so that would mean that the property owner could use that as a C2 up until the point where a new ordinance would be passed. And if they commenced a C2 use in that interim, then we couldn't prevent them or tell them to stop.
In other words, if they sold it,
Tomorrow.
They sold this property, and it's zone C2, and they sold it in 6 months from now, a body shop could go there if they hadn't passed that before that.
Correct, but if they have passed it before that, then they would have to comply with the then current existing ordinance, which would be much more limited.
I understand. Okay, so to me, it's like you're giving them an opportunity to put something there that I don't think should be there.
Right, but that opportunity already exists, or what is it, 50 to 75 feet of that frontage is already C2.
I understand that. I have
Yeah.
no problem with that. My property is on that back portion where they want to have it rezoned. That's all residential back there.
You said the intent is to open a restaurant in 2022?
Correct.
Have renovations
We have started.
commenced there?
Yes, we've started the abatement process. We've started some selective interior demolition. Yes.
Okay, what else is going to be done there?
We're talking a $3 to $4 million project for renovation.
Is the entire building going to be demolished and start from scratch, or?
That is a potential.
Okay,
It
I'm
all
just
depends
curious.
on the structure itself. As we get further into it, we'll determine how the structure is at this point. And to the gentleman's point, I think it's important to remember that the rezoning is only to the back of the carriage house. The 100 or so feet in the back portion remains residential. Where the parking lot is and all the trees in the green space, that remains residential.
I know, but that's what your intent is. But who knows what's going to happen in the future?
Matt, what's the dimension of the residue there to the south?
I don't have a map that
You-
shows the
you
full
say it's
extent
100
of
feet?
it here. I can try and
I'm
determine
just
that.
curious what the,
It is quite large. 75 or so parking spaces. All of that remains in the residential portion, plus green space. And the property travels south all the way to, I think, 718, 725 Linden, and then there's a small access path back there. All of that remains residential.
Ms. Gunter, can I ask, there is an access road there, and it looks like the rezoning request jogs just a little south of the access road.
There are two access roads. There's one that's actually an exit of the parking lot
Mhm.
that is required because the main drive is one way off of Westlake Road.
Mhm.
So fire code does require that secondary access. And then at the southernmost portion of the parcel, there is a very small path that at one point did not have hedge overgrowth on it, that is actually access as well.
My request would be to move, take the, put a smaller portion of that rezoning and push it back to where those buildings are, and not have it go all the way further back.
That line is not arbitrary. That line is consistent with the comprehensive plan. That's the reason the line was chosen. And to the gentleman's question, the line is immediately following the carriage house. All of the parking lot, all of the green space, all of the trees remain residential. I think we're saying the same thing and we're just not jiving.
Sir, I apologize. Your name is Hoyt?
Pardon me?
Your name's Hoyt?
Yes,
Okay. So, John?
yes.
All right, yeah, I'm looking at the rezoning. You want to come over here and I can show you something?
Well, he's approaching, Mr. Chairman, by rough measurements, about 520 feet remaining from
come on-
the
come on
edge to the back, from the edge of where they want to rezone to the back of the property would remain residential.
Okay.
So what she's talking about here is, their parcel goes way back here.
Yes, it almost goes up to 10th Street.
Yeah, yeah, and they're only requesting rezoning to this point right here. So there's your parcel.
Okay.
So they're requesting just past your parcel line. Now,
Okay,
now here-
I thought, well, that parking lot goes all the way back. I thought she was requesting all that parking area.
Nope, just right here, just probably, 20 feet maybe past your parcel, your property line.
Okay.
And the other rule we have is any development in a commercial district has to have a setback anyway. So even if they rezone to here, they can't build anything past, I believe, like this point, if they were to actually.
What is that, 15 feet?
No, it's maybe, it's, I'm sorry, it's a 40-foot, is it a 40-foot buffer,
Yes.
Matt?
Okay.
So if they were to put any kind of significant structure in here or redevelopment of the property, they'd be required to have a 40-foot setback and put a green strip buffer between it.
Okay.
So there'd be at least so if that's what your concern is, they're only rezoning to here, and then they still have about a 40-foot by our zoning code. They can't build anything closer than 40 feet to the property line.
Okay.
And then if they do build something, they have to put some kind of a green buffer system there to
That
block.
explains, that helps me a lot.
Is that okay?
Yes.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else wish to speak on this change in zoning request? If not, is there a motion?
Well, Mr. Chairman, I think the applicant is certainly requesting the minimum amount necessary for their project. It is consistent with our comprehensive plan. So I would make a motion to approve the request to rezone from R1 single family to C2 general commercial with the restrictions noted in the request of how far that rezoning line goes.
Okay.
I'll second.
Mr. Arlett?
I vote yes.
Mr. Morgan?
I vote yes.
And I vote yes. Okay, next up, John and Joyce Adler for property located at 3960 Westridge Road, now zoned R1, single-family residential, asking for the parcel to be classified as C2, general commercial, index 303-003, county index 33-54-228-2. Matt?
Thank you. At their regular meeting of Tuesday, November 10th, 2020, the Millcreek Township Planning Commission recommended approval of this rezoning.
Okay. Is the applicant here to speak on this?
Good evening, my name's Bill Bucherri. I'm the real estate agent representing Mr. and Mrs. Adler.
Okay, sir.
And My only comment is the rezone is called for in your long-range plan, and it was recommended, and I'm available for any questions.
What's the current, or what's the use of the property currently?
The current use of property is a single-family structure.
Is it vacant?
No, it's not. It's rented, and it's, let me back up. The corner of 26 and Colonial is owned by Mr. and Mrs. Adler, and they operate a beauty salon. And to the east is the subject property we're trying to rezone, and that's a single-family house that is rented to their child. And they would desire to rezone that to be consistent with their corner property, which is C2.
Okay. All right, sir. Any other questions or comments from the board on this? Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anybody else present wish to speak on this matter? Okay. Not, do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Mr. Olet?
I vote yes.
Mr. Morgan?
I vote yes.
And I vote yes as well. Next up, ordinance 2020-10. An ordinance of the Township of Millcreek, Erie County, Pennsylvania, authorizing the occurrence of non-electoral debt by the township pursuant to the Local Government Unit Debt Act as amended through the issuance the township's general obligation note in the principal amount of not to exceed $380,000. Mr. Shaw?
Yes, this ordinance is necessary to authorize the township to incur certain debt associated with the purchase of the Abandoned Industries Model 3680XP Beast Rotary Grinder, affectionately known as the Beast, for the Mill Fair Recycling Center. The township will be borrowing $380,000 from First National Bank of Pennsylvania at a fixed formula interest rate, which would be 1.46% if the closing occurs before the end of this year. The fees and costs associated with the loan are $2,000. The term of the loan is 60 months, and the loan can be repaid at any time without penalty. The incurrence of debt has to be approved by the Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development under the Local Government Unit Debt Act, and that Debt Act places certain borrowing limits on municipalities, which is 250% of the borrowing base. The township debt is well below that limit, and so the purpose of this ordinance is to authorize various actions needed to be completed to incur the debt and comply with the Local Government Unit Debt Act.
Thank you, sir.
Did you guys get all that?
Additionally, the debt is to be taken on to cash flow this, because the piece of equipment that we're purchasing with this is being paid for by 902 grants from the Department of the DEP, the Environmental Protection, DEP, and they're scheduled every 2 years, so rather than chunking out the full $500,000 on our own, knowing we're going to get fully reimbursed, it makes sense to try to match this a little bit and not drain our cash reserves quite so much.
So is the intent when the grant,
When the grant comes, the whole grant will go to pay the principal down. So we'll probably have the loan paid off well before the 5 years are up.
that was my question. Okay, so likely within a couple years,
Yes.
give or take. Okay. Do I hear a motion on ordinance 2020-10?
So moved.
I will second.
Mr. Olet?
I vote yes.
Mr. Morgan?
I vote yes.
And I vote yes. Okay, next up, number 12 on our agenda, Resolution 2020-R70, a resolution pursuant to Resolution 2015-R20, Municipal Records Manual to approve proposed disposition of certain township records. We have video deletions. It's Millcreek Police Department dash cam videos between the dates of 12/16/2020 and January 4th of 2021 due to the end of their retention period. This is a standard action we take nearly every meeting for this. I'll put that in the form of a motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Arlett?
How about yes?
Mr. Morgan?
I vote yes.
I vote yes. Next up, number 13 on our agenda, Resolution 2020 R71, a resolution amending Resolution 2020 R54 to extend the disaster emergency declaration within Millcreek Township regarding COVID-19, and amending Resolutions 2020 R37, 2020 R42, 2020 R54, and 2020 R67 to update and modify various township COVID-19 policies. Mr. Shaw?
Yes, there are two components to this resolution. First, the resolution extends the township's declaration of a disaster emergency under Section 7501 of the Pennsylvania Emergency Management Services Code in order to reduce the severity of impact of COVID-19 and to protect the health, safety, and welfare of affected residents in Millcreek Township. The township's declaration, which expires today, is being extended until February 23rd, 2021, to essentially mirror the governor's recent extension of the statewide emergency declaration. The declaration enables the township to take any necessary emergency actions and affords the township access to any funding that may become available for COVID-related costs. The second component of this resolution is to update the township's policies relating to COVID-19 as a result of additional orders and guidance from the governor, the Pennsylvania Department of Health, and the CDC. First, we're proposing to amend the travel policy of the township to make clear that the order amending the state's travel order to allow residents to travel out of state without quarantining so long as they return 24 hours is included within the township policy. In addition, we have also included both the original order and the amended order as attachments to the township policy. And second, we propose amending the township's policy for procedures for probable or confirmed COVID-19 cases to incorporate recent CDC and state guidance on quarantining. Under the amended state and CDC guidances in this policy, the 14-day quarantine period may be reduced to 10 days without testing if no symptoms have been experienced since the last close contact, or be reduced to 7 days since the last close contact if a test is performed on day 5 or later since that last close contact and the test is negative and the person remains asymptomatic. Prior to this, there had simply been a 14-day quarantine period.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Is there a motion on Resolution 2020 R71?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Mr. Arlett?
How about yes?
Mr. Morgan?
I vote yes.
And I vote no. Next up, snow plowing agreement. Mr. Shaw, Indigo Run.
Yep, this is the annual snowplow agreement with the residents of Indigo Drive, which is a private street located in Whispering Woods. The rate for this year is $1.62 per lineal foot for a total cost of $791.14. The property owners have signed the agreement and have submitted their checks.
Okay.
Mr. Shaw, jog my memory, why do we do this every year?
This is
For this
just
particular subdivision?
I think because it's a small kind of eyelet type
Yeah,
loop.
Yep, but why? It's a private drive?
Yes. It's a private road.
Is there
and-
some history to this development that obligated us to give them very discounted plowing service for a private drive?
As I understand, the rate is calculated based on.
Oh, I know how the rate's calculated. I came up with the formula because we used to just give them a random number. So, but why do we do this?
Mr. Shaw, may I?
Sure.
Yes, when the subdivision was approved by the board at the time, it was approved as a public right-of-way, but a private drive. So the right-of-way is public, but the roadway within it is private because it does not meet our requirements for liquid fuels reimbursement. And so at that time, the board established the procedure where the residents along that stretch were responsible for plowing and maintenance of just that portion in front of their homes.
Are there any other thoroughfares in the township that mirror this and as far as our plowing agreements? Or?
No, this is a unique situation. This is one of a kind.
Okay.
I understand this was done in some, I'm assuming well-meaning methodology when this subdivision was built. But if it is, so it is a public right-of-way?
That's correct. It's specifically labeled on the recorded Mylar as a public right-of-way / private drive.
Learn something new every day.
Yeah. I think, you think 2020 is a good year to stop doing this and just plow the street?
As in, don't charge them?
Yes. Unless someone can give me a rationale why this board should continue this practice. I mean, I'm all ears.
I got nothing.
So your suggestion is to just simply plow it and not have them pay for that?
I think the plow, I think the route, it just the plow goes in there anyway. It's already there, I believe. It goes in and just comes right back out, I think. So I wouldn't be opposed to looking at that as an option. This is for, how is this, what's the duration of this agreement? Does this go?
It's annual, because then the amount to be charged is calculated annually.
Okay, so it's for the entire, it goes by calendar?
Season. Yeah, it goes by season, essentially.
Okay.
So it would cover this winter season from, I think November through May.
This is the first time it's really struck me that it's actually a public right. I'm sure it's been mentioned before, but it's a public right-of-way.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure the property owners wouldn't object.
We appreciate contributions, but so does the Salvation Army. They could give that to anybody else.
So this is what, 700 and?
Yeah, there's 4 property owners. They each submit a 1/4 of the total.
The total 791?
Yes.
Or is that their portion?
That's a
No,
total. That's a total for this year.
I see the checks. Okay, well. Are you making a motion to?
I just, I've often wondered about this thing, and we've got a completely brand-new board now with Mr. Ouellette on the board, and no ties to the past right now, so it seems like a wonky thing, seems like an old-school Millcreeky kind of thing that probably doesn't need to keep happening, that's all.
I understand that. I do.
Well, the only thing that might, granted, this is a hugely small amount, but the fact of the matter is, we get county aid through liquid fuels, which pays for salt, which is being put on a non-liquid fuels road.
I would concur with that and say it has merit, but I can tell you, we found little knobs and nudges of pavement all over this township that we pave that do not qualify for county aid.
Yeah, they do exist,
That we
yeah.
pave and plow that don't qualify. And we don't bill the adjacent property owners for it. Well, otherwise, I would say that makes sense, and I think that was the argument. But in the time we've been here, we've mapped every street and toured every road and found nubs all over this township that don't qualify for, that PennDOT won't reimburse us for, and
Well, the property owners have already submitted checks,
are you serious?
which we have copies in front of us. I'm assuming those checks have
They
been,
have not been deposited
they have
yet.
not been
We were
deposited.
waiting for you to approve the agreement.
Can we send them back to them in a Christmas card?
Sweet.
Sorry, that was snarky. It's just, this is a silly thing that we do.
Put something before us. Let's vote on it. What do you want to do?
Well, how do we undo this thing, Mr. Waldinger? What would be a motion that would
Yeah, I'm not.
discontinue this practice in perpetuity?
Yeah, I'm not sure, other than maybe re-recording the subdivision. I think that's something that we'd have to at least look into.
Are we obligated, wait, I'm sorry, because the subdivision calls it a private drive, we're obligated to charge them for plowing services? Is that what you're saying?
No, you asked how we would completely
Right, right,
undo it. I mean, that would be involved. As far as charging them, that's at the board's discretion, as far as I know.
I think you just simply, make a motion to discontinue the practice of charging, Indigo for snow plowing.
What about just amending the agreement, still having the agreement to actually plow it, but with the amendment that there's no charge?
Do that would at least, you would preserve at least the protection of if you plow it and you mess something up, then you won't have to fix it.
We could also approve this agreement as written and revisit it for the next plowing season.
Mr. Waldinger, why is it a private road and not a public road? Just because it was short?
Yeah, it's short in the angles of both.
Yeah, the
approaches.
developer tried to pull a fast one to get more parcels in there, right?
Correct, yes. They wanted additional building lots, so they did a little
Right.
highbrow.
And the board at the time, instead of denying the development, came up with some wonky solution to create a private drive that we plow.
Seems to be the case, yes.
Instead of just granting a modification and saying, sure, put extra lots on the road. Is that fair?
I think that's probably a fair characterization.
I know this is a very extended conversation, over $800. I apologize.
Well, do I hear a motion on the snow plowing agreement as presented?
Not for me.
After all that?
I'm not making a motion on this thing. You kidding me?
Okay. Mr. Arlett? What are your thoughts?
Well, I think until we can nail this down officially and legally, that we follow through with the set rate for the year for these residents and move forward. If we want to change it, we'll change it in the upcoming year. That's my motion.
Okay. You're making a motion to approve the snow plowing agreement as presented?
Yes.
I'll second that. Mr. Olet,
I vote yes.
Mr. Morgan.
Man, it's rare that I'm the one being generous on this board. I'm gonna vote no.
I will vote yes. All right, so Indigo Run is buttoned up at least for one more winter. Next up, Open Edge Card Processing Agreement.
Now, this is something I really want to talk about for an hour. This is,
We probably could if you want to get into all the details of PCI.
You realize we're losing people here. We only have one dedicated resident.
I'm just filibustering because Rick wants
People
to
are-
yell at us. I'm
People are
just
dropping like
filibustering for
flies
Rick.
out there, John. Okay.
Okay, this agreement is between the township and what is essentially the gateway for card processing. It gets incorporated into the website, so as will set up transactions that could be paid for over our website, such as streetlights. That card information, when they get ready to pay, it goes over to the Open Edge site, and they put their card information in, and they send it off to the various banks. That way, it keeps us safe from having to deal with breaches, because we have people's card information and all that. We don't retain any of the card information within our system, and so this is the first step in us being able to take credit cards for various payments to the township, one of which would be streetlights. And Mr. Shaw's office has reviewed the agreement, and
Yeah, we had, as you recall, this was on the agenda for a couple of times, and part of the reason was, as we got into the details of it, we wanted to make sure that that we understood what the obligations would be by entering into this as it related to PCI data, which is called the payment card industry data. And because there are specific standards that apply to these transactions, and we wanted to look at what type of data we would be receiving, if any, the extent of the risk and liability that the township may have, and what obligations the township may have if there is a data breach. We did reach out to the various providers, and were able to resolve these concerns that we had. And also, as part of the agreement with Open Edge, the township will be enrolled in the Open Edge PCI Assurance Program, which will help enable the township to remain PCI compliant. So we feel comfortable that we're not opening a Pandora's box by entering into this agreement.
Is there a fee on our end?
yes, there are a variety of fees.
Is it per transaction, or?
The per transaction fees, there's a cost for that compliance portion.
Okay.
All that's been included in the budget for next year at a guesstimated amount, because I have no idea how many people are actually going to pay for their things like streetlights with the credit card.
I think the compliance portion is about $14 or $15 a month. That's a monthly fee, so.
Okay. Okay, so the main reason for this was
For us to take credit cards through the website, primarily for streetlights, but the same application can be used to take payments for permits, for
right.
anything else that the township, transacts money issues with.
Okay. All right. Any other questions on this? Do I hear a motion to approve the Open Edge Card Processing Agreement?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Mr. Olet?
I vote yes.
Mr. Morgan?
I vote yes.
I vote yes. Number 16. Looks like we have an authorization to take action on enforcement matters.
Are there any specific enforcement matters, or just
Yes, we have
blanket?
two specific matters that we would like your approval to proceed to file an action in the Court of Common Pleas. First property is 302 Greenhurst Drive. As you're aware, the Office of Code Enforcement has had numerous interactions with this property over the last couple of years. Currently, there's an accumulation of trash and debris in the backyard, high grass and weeds, an above-ground pool that poses a safety hazard, a disabled vehicle in the driveway, and miscellaneous other issues. Notice of violations have been issued. The property has not been cleaned up. There is currently a pending before the DJ's office, a matter on the fines associated with that, but the DJ's office doesn't have the power to order, things be cleaned up or give us the authority to do so. As of this meeting, those issues with that property still have not been corrected, and so we would be seeking your authorization to file a complaint in the Erie Court of Common Pleas, seeking declaratory relief that property is a nuisance and ordering the owners to clean up the property, and that if they fail to do so, the township would be authorized to go in and clean up that property and assess them costs and fees associated with that. Probably take these separately.
Okay, so the first one is just for the Greenhurst.
Yes, 302 Greenhurst Drive.
I'll make a motion to authorize that action.
I'll second.
Mr. Olet?
I vote yes.
Mr. Morgan?
I vote yes.
And I vote yes. The second one?
The second property is at 2710 Pittsburgh Avenue. Office of Code Enforcement has also had previous involvement with this property. This is a hoarding situation, and the building has been condemned. A notice of violation and citations were issued in 2019. There was a hearing and an agreement reached where the property owner agreed to remove it within a certain time period. Not surprisingly, they failed to do so, and the property remains, the issues of the property remain unabated, and the home remains uninhabitable and condemned. So here we're seeking your authorization to file a complaint, again in the Erie Court of Common Pleas, seeking declaratory relief that the property is a nuisance and ordering the owner to clean up the property. And if she fails to do so, the township will be authorized to go in and abate that nuisance and recover costs and fees as a result.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
I'll make a motion to authorize that action.
I'll second.
Thank you. Mr. Olet?
I vote yes.
Mr. Morgan?
I vote yes.
I vote yes. Okay, number 17, we have the Highmark stop-loss agreement renewal. Mark?
Okay. As part of our insurance program, we have, because we are self-insured, we have a insurance program called stop loss. And what this does is it caps the exposure for the township to $105,000 for any one person's annual cost. Also, too, as a part of this, there's something called aggregate stop loss, and that is if our total claims for medical and pharmacy benefits exceed a certain amount, I believe in this particular year coming is 4.6 million, that the Highmark insurance program then kicks in on the aggregate of claims. We routinely end up with several, 3 or 4 every year of the individual $105,000 stop loss claims being met. The aggregate we generally don't hit, but God help us if we ever did. At least this way we've got some sort of top end coverage if it ever got to that point. So this is a renewal. There's a rate increase associated with it. That was incorporated in the cost in the budget that was previously approved. And so at this point, what we're asking for is approval to sign the agreement, and it has been reviewed by our solicitor.
Yeah, the agreement's fairly standard form with the standard conditions.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion to approve this stop-loss agreement renewal with Highmark?
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, Mr. Olet?
I vote yes.
Mr. Morgan?
I vote yes.
And I vote yes. Okay, number 18, we have a pension plan management agreement amendment. Mark?
Actually, that was determined not to be required.
Oh, okay.
We were not sure. There's a fee change for distributing checks from the pension plan. And we obtained the latest custodial agreement. It was reviewed by the solicitor's office, and it was determined that the bank was entitled to reasonable fees, and so therefore, all we need to do is acknowledge the reasonableness of the fees.
Yeah, the agreement itself is self-effectuating in terms of the fees, so
Okay.
there wasn't a need to amend it or redo the agreement.
Okay. All right. Moving on, financial security release and reduction request. The first one is from Erie's Manufacturing Company. Erie's Manufacturing Company is a developer. Matt?
Yes, thank you. Erie's Manufacturing Company has requested release for their financial security for the additions that they did to their plant at 1901 Wager Road. Township has sent GPI, our third-party contracted engineering firm, to inspect the work to make sure that it was complete. Unfortunately, part of their stormwater management plan is to do an irrigation system where they take rainwater that they collect and irrigate portions of the property to recycle the groundwater. At the time that they called for inspection, they had already winterized the irrigation system, so it was not able to be inspected as a functioning system and known to be functioning. So at this time, the township cannot fully release their security for this development. There is in front of you an engineer certification from Ann Sokol, the township engineer, recommending that we deny the release, but that we do a reduction. We can reduce their letter of credit, which currently stands at $174,546, down to its 10% amount of $17,454.60. That would be more than enough to take care of the irrigation system if there was a problem to arise. So at this time, and upon recommendation of Ann Sokol, I recommend that the board reduce the HSBC letter of credit number SDMTN 576264 in the amount of $157,091.40 reduction to a new amount of $17,454.60.
Mr. Aldinger, does Erie's have to resubmit, another financial security release in the spring after the irrigation system is
Yes,
inspected, or do we automatically re-inspect it?
yeah, once the system's operating and we can witness the fact and make sure that it's operating as planned, then they can ask for a release of the remaining funds.
Okay, that answered my question there. Okay. Do I hear a motion to approve this reduction in the financial security release? The amount would be $17,454.60 would be the amount of the...
Would be the new amount that we would hold, yes.
Right.
So moved.
Okay, do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Allett?
I vote yes.
Mr. Morgan?
How about yes?
And I'll vote yes. And we have another one, Whispering Woods 7B, Special Properties, Inc.
Yes, this is a request from Special Properties to reduce the security held for Whispering Woods Phase 7B. The original amount of the security was $527,100. The current amount that we hold after previous reductions is $159,066.60. They have completed additional work. It's been inspected by the township. And so we are now recommending a reduction of $98,786.60 to a new amount of $60,280. There is, again, an engineer certification from Ann Sokol in front of you. So at this time, I'd recommend that the board reduce Northwest Bank letter of credit number 830-500-4031 from $159,066.60 to a new amount of $60,280.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve this financial security reduction for Whispering Woods to the amount of $60,280 as stated?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Olet?
I vote yes.
Mr. Morgan?
I vote yes.
And I'll vote yes. Okay, on to communications. Treasurer Communications?
Yes.
EE Dental?
Yeah, this is I think the third renewal of this, and once again, I disagree with it, but by the same token, we would probably end up with labor grievances, because the expectation is that all the cost for the dental program is absorbed by the township. This is a $10 charge that the dentists get for PPE. They want to extend it through the balance of 2021. There were previous extensions or initial implementation through June 30th, and it was subsequently extended to I think September 30th, and through the end of the year. Now they will go through all of 2021. The cost is not ultimately all that great. I just don't see where the PPE standards have really changed for dentists since AIDS epidemic in the 1990s, or why they don't just put it in their rate, one or the other. But because we have to opt in, I would need approval to allow us to opt in for the $10 charge for PPE through 2021.
Okay, so the action we take tonight will cover us for the entire next year.
Entire next year. Yeah, it's my recommendation that we do that simply because we don't want the labor hassle.
I think we've taken, like you said, what, two
There's been
prior?
at least 2 or 3 votes on this already.
Yeah. Okay. Is there a motion to approve this, and it's with PPE Dental?
No, it's with BAI. It's part of the
BAI.
insurance payments to the
Benefits.
dentist.
So this is something we do quarterly? You said we should do it 3 times?
We've done a couple extensions. This is a new charge for this, that started this
Because
year
of
with
COVID.
COVID.
Uh-huh.
They first implemented the PPE surcharge, I think through June 30th was the initial one.
Okay, so they keep extending it?
Yes.
It's not like, okay, all right. Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve.
And I'll second.
Mr. Olet?
I vote yes.
Mr. Morgan?
I vote yes.
And I'll vote yes. Okay, we have a hiring request.
I'll handle this one,
You
Mr.
wanna
Chairman.
handle this? It's from Diane Lyons.
Yeah, gentlemen, as you're aware, we have a retirement pretty imminent in the administrative department. So this request is from Diane Lyons to hire Tammy Way as our next accounts payable coordinator. Ms. Way comes to Millcreek Township with over 15 years of accounting experience and was most recently employed with the Erie County Convention Center Authority as a staff accountant. Her rate with contracted rate of $20.04 per hour. Ms. Lyons requesting that Ms. Way's start date,
Today.
is it today or is it tomorrow? Huh?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow would be December 16th. Gentlemen, the one caveat I want to mention to you guys is we typically do not have overlap in employment. So typically we wait till an employee has left the employee of the township before bringing a replacement in. In this instance, I know Mr. Krzewski and Ms. Page, our assistant treasurer, would appreciate being able to have some overlap for some training opportunities. Also, as is practice, our retirees often take vacations at the end of their careers. So there will be some downtime in which our current payroll coordinator will not be in the office, and they would like to have staff available during that time. So Mr. Krzewski presented an amendment to the budget to go along with this request. because it will require an additional $2,075.68 in expenses to have 2 accounts payable clerks under our employee for about 19 days. That would come out of their operating supplies line to shift into the various employee-related lines. I don't know if you have any further questions, Mr. Zuchowski can answer them for you, but that would be the 2 actions that we required to bring Ms. Way on board would be approval of her hire and then approval of this operating budget amendment.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Yeah, and, Sue's last day at the township will be on the 23rd of December. She's taking vacation time up to her retirement date. So that just reduces the amount that she would be paid for unused vacation anyhow.
Okay. All right. Is there, we'll do the first one then. Is there a motion to approve the hiring of Tammy Way as the new accounts payable coordinator?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Arlett?
I vote yes.
Mr. Morgan?
Oh, yes.
And I vote yes as well. And then the second,
Maybe an operating budget amendment, I believe we own a copy of it. Which shifts. Basically, it's a line item shift of $2,075.68 from materials and supplies operations line to cover various amounts for wages, FICA, and workers' comp insurance.
okay. Is there a motion to approve the budget amendment for this, for the overlap in for the accounts payable coordinator position?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Arlett?
I vote yes.
Mr. Morgan?
I vote yes.
And I vote yes. Okay, executive sessions were held here on December 3rd and December 10th, 2020. Solicitor communications, Mr. Shaw, you have some additional?
Yes, I do have one item that I would like to get the supervisor's approval on. This relates to sewer bills from the reserve. We've been in discussions with the reserve for some time regarding their past due sewer bills, and as a result of those discussions, the reserve is willing to make a payment by December 24 of $316,232.26, which would bring all of their accounts current. This amount to be paid by the reserve reflects that the township would be providing a credit of $55,469.69, which is based upon sewer charges imposed by the township in error for a building that had been demolished, and a reduction in sewer charges associated with several buildings that had been and some that continue to be condemned as a result of code enforcement inspections conducted by the township. I'm asking for your approval to enter into a settlement agreement with the reserve under which the township would give that credit, and that the reserve would make that payment on or before December 24th, and that if they fail to do so by December 24th, the township would proceed to file liens with respect to those unpaid accounts before the end of the year in an amount only taking the credit for the billing error and not for the other aspects, and that the parties would exchange mutual releases relating to those bills. You have it before you, a draft of the agreement. It's still being reviewed by the folks at the reserve, but I would like you to authorize the chair to sign this agreement subject to my recommendation and representation that it meets the terms that would be approved at this meeting.
Thank you, sir. Is there a motion to approve this settlement agreement with Granada Apartment Holdings LLC and authorize the chair to sign the document?
I'll make that motion.
The settlement amount is $316,232.26. Thank you, Mr. Arlett. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Arlett?
I vote yes.
Mr. Morgan?
I vote yes.
And I vote yes. Okay, anything further for communication?
That's all I have.
Citizens to be heard? Any citizens wish to be heard? Okay. Hearing none. Looks like we've come to the adjournment portion of our meeting.
I'm trying to think something else to talk about, but I can't. Nothing comes to mind. Want to see some Christmas carols?
Wish the folks Merry Christmas, and this is our last meeting of 2020.
Yes, it is.
Kind of sad, but
Not really.
we'll start up again in January, so won't be too bad. We'll get through it.
And, do we need to make a motion to wish everyone Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays, or we just do that?
Certainly. I heard it's going to be a green Christmas, but some people don't like that. They like the snow, but. All right.
I think the staff is eager to go home. I guess we can adjourn. I'll
Okay.
make a motion.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we are adjourned exactly at 8:30 PM. Thank you.